So the insurance company for the person that hit you and caused the accident has a playbook. It is designed to do one thing, and that is to pay you as little as possible and to get the case over with so you don't hire a lawyer. So here are 7 things you need to know, techniques that they use to try to trick you into taking a quick lowball settlement. The first technique that insurance adjusters use to get you to settle your case is to offer you a settlement quickly after the accident. And the reason this is a bad idea, and it's a technique that they like to use, is that you don't actually know how hurt you are. You don't know the full extent of your injuries. You don't know the full extent of how much time you might have to miss off work. For example, you might think you're okay a day or 2 after the accident, and then you find you keep getting these headaches and it's just unbearable to do your job, or you can't stand on your feet and you can't work as much, and now you have to take time off work. So don't take that quick settlement right after the accident. You need to make sure that you know the full extent of your injuries and you know the full extent of the compensation that you should demand. The second technique that an insurance company uses to minimize your claim is to get you on a recorded line and ask you all sorts of questions about the accident and how hurt you are. And they'll do this in a way that makes it sound like they're your friend, or they're rooting for you, or, you know, it's good that you're not that hurt, or it's good that are you getting better? Well, I hope so. You know, this sort of thing, to try to get you to say, yeah, like positivity after an accident. I don't want to be hurt. You know, I'm trying to get better. Well, they're just going to use this against you, because any statement that you make will come into evidence in your case. You are a party, and party statements, party admissions, they're called, come in. They're not hearsay, right? They don't have to be sworn. They don't have to be proven. If you're recorded, that can come in. It can come in at your deposition. It can come in at the trial. So they are trying to get you to admit that you're not that hurt, or maybe they're trying to get you to admit that the accident was partially your fault somehow. Maybe you were not fully paying attention. Maybe you were going 3 miles an hour over the speed limit when the guy ran the red light and T-boned you. And this kind of stuff that they'll try to use to make it seem like it's not totally their fault. So they're seizing on 2 different things there, right? They're trying to minimize your damages. If you say something like, oh, I'm feeling okay, I think I'm getting better, right? Minimizing your damages, costing you money, or placing some blame, something called comparative fault, on you to try to minimize their liability. So this is why you do not give the recorded statement. And I've sometimes had it be where I get involved in the case and the client has already given a recorded statement. So then I'm saying, well, this is what happened in the case. Well, that's not what your client said on the recorded statement. And, you know, I have to deal with that. But the easier thing by far would be if my clients had never given that recorded statement. So just don't do it. It really never helps you. I've never seen it help the plaintiff. If you're watching this and are a lawyer, like, comment if this has ever helped your plaintiff. I would bet you 99%, if not 100, would say it's only ever been used against me, and it's bad. And please, people who are injured in car accidents, don't give the recorded statement to the adjuster. Number 3 is something called the stall and starve tactic. If you don't take the initial lowball offer, they will then just kind of drag it out. Oh yeah, we're gathering these bills, this and that. You know, we're still investigating, or we're waiting on this. In the meantime, you've got bills, right? Either you have medical bills, or you're not working, so you have lost wages, and all of your expenses of life don't stop just because you got in a car accident that wasn't your fault, right? You still have to pay all these bills. And eventually you might just get desperate and call them back and take the lowball offer. So there's always a kind of stalling technique that they will use to try to get you to take the lowball offer, even after you've already told them you're not taking it. It's like, well, let's just sweat them out a little bit and see if they don't come back groveling for our lowball offer. Again, don't do it. And this really raises a simple point, right? Which is this. If you get medical treatment, you should probably hire a lawyer. You should at least call one, right? If you are so hurt in an accident that you go and get some kind of treatment, it's worth calling a lawyer just to see, because they can add value to your case and make sure that you're not getting the playbook of insurance companies used against you, and essentially giving a gift to insurance companies who owe you money. So number 4 is a little bit later in the process, but they might send you to a doctor who they hire, right? The independent medical exam. Well, it's not independent. It is an insurance company medical exam, and it's designed to make you look like you're pretending, right? You are what's called a malingerer, or you are embellishing. You are pretending that this car accident caused these problems, but guess what? We think it already existed in your medical file, which we'll get to in a second. So the independent medical exam or the insurance paid doctor is another tactic that they will use to try to minimize your claims. Usually that's a little bit later in the process when you filed a lawsuit and your lawyer can help you prepare for that, but that's just another tactic that they use. So the next trick that insurance companies use to minimize your claim, to lower the payout that they owe you, is to weaponize your own medical history. They will ask you for a medical authorization so they can get your records. They will then ask you for every doctor that you go to. They will then go get all those records, and they'll say, oh, well, you had a muscle strain in 2012, and so we think you have a pre-existing back condition, and so this soft tissue injury you've sustained in this motor vehicle accident wasn't caused by our accident. It was already existing. Anything they can find, anything that they can reach for in your medical history, they will use. So when they ask for a blanket medical authorization early in your case or before you've even hired a lawyer, don't have to give it to them, right? You really don't, and probably shouldn't, because at that point, again, just call a lawyer, because they're going to use it against you. And if you don't know how they play their game, it's only going to cost you in the long run. So the last thing is social media. They will use your TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all this stuff to spy on you. And what they're looking for is really kind of perverse. It's just any evidence that you're living a normal, happy life, that you're at a family barbecue, or you're smiling, or you went on a vacation. If any of that looks like you on your social media, they'll find a way to use it against you. To say, well, this accident didn't permanently alter their life, or they're not traumatized, or they don't have any real pain and suffering because look, they're smiling on the internet. So if you're thinking about an insurance claim, you should maybe cut back your social media posting, because once it's out there, there's nothing you can do about it. They'll find it, and you have to produce it in your lawsuit. And you can't go deleting it, because then that could really hurt your case. Your case could be thrown out. They can throw sanctions at you. Don't do that. But the best thing is just don't create the content in the first place. Don't give any ammunition to the insurance company or their lawyers to use against you. So if you're looking for help navigating this process with the insurance company, give us a call. There's a link in the description. Thanks for watching.